I thought I knew Madison. 3 years together, sharing an apartment in the suburbs of Portland, building what I believed was a solid future. We had our arguments, like any couple, sure, but nothing that felt unfixable. That Saturday morning, we fought about dishes. Just dishes. She stormed upstairs, slammed the bedroom door, and I figured we would cool off like we always did. Then my phone started buzzing. Madison had posted a quote on Facebook. "Sometimes you have to walk away from toxic men." I felt that familiar knot in my stomach, but instead of getting defensive, I did something nobody expected. I liked her post and commented, "I agree." I thought I was diffusing the situation with a little humor. 10 minutes later, she posted a photo that made my blood run cold. Before I tell you what happened next, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below. And if you have ever had a relationship drama blow up on social media, hit that like button and subscribe, because trust me, this story takes a turn nobody saw coming, especially not me. Now, let me tell you about the photo that changed everything and how one Facebook post revealed the truth I had been too blind to see. Looking back now, I can see the warning signs I ignored for months. Madison and I met 3 years ago at an indie concert downtown. She was this vibrant graphic designer working for a small startup, and I was a mechanical engineer at a manufacturing company. Our first conversation lasted 4 hours. We talked about music dreams, stupid childhood memories. She laughed at my terrible jokes. I fell hard and fast. Those first 2 years were beautiful. We would drive out to Columbia River Gorge every other weekend, hiking trails until our legs ached, then grabbing burgers at this tiny diner she loved. Sunday nights were our thing. We would cook together, usually attempting some complicated recipe we found online, and failing spectacularly. She would leave sticky notes in my lunchbox, little things like, "You are my favorite person," or "Kick today in the butt." I kept every single one in a drawer by my bed, but around 6 months ago, something shifted. Madison started spending more time on Facebook, scrolling through posts from this group called Empowered Women Rising. At first I thought it was great. Self-improvement, supporting other women, all good stuff. But then the quotes started appearing on her timeline. Posts about knowing your worth and walking away from toxicity, and not settling for less than you deserve. 1 or 2 fine, but she was posting them daily, sometimes multiple times a day. They all had this passive-aggressive tone that made my stomach turn. She started using language I had never heard from her before. Everything became about setting boundaries and not tolerating disrespect. If I forgot to pick up milk on my way home, I was not listening to her needs. If I said I was too tired to go to a party after working a 12-hour shift, I was controlling her social life. When I suggested we should save more money instead of eating out so much, she accused me of being financially manipulative. I tried talking to her about it. I really did. But every conversation ended with her saying I was invalidating her feelings or gaslighting her. I started walking on eggshells in my own home, analyzing every word before I spoke, terrified of saying something that would trigger another lecture about toxic masculinity or emotional abuse. The group she joined seemed to be feeding into this. She would come home from their meetings talking about how enlightened she felt, how she was finally seeing the truth about relationships. I noticed she was always on her phone texting someone smiling at her screen in a way that made my chest tight. When I asked who she was talking to, she would snap at me for being possessive and insecure. That Saturday started like any other weekend. I woke up early, went for a run through our neighborhood, and got back around 8 in the morning. Madison was still asleep. I made breakfast, scrambled eggs with bacon and toast, nothing fancy but made with care. I was planning to do the dishes from the night before after we ate. That seemed reasonable to me. When Madison came downstairs, I smiled and gestured to the table. "Made your favorite," I said. She looked at the food, then at the sink, and her face hardened. "Did you do the dishes from last night?" She asked, her voice already edged with irritation. I blinked. Not yet, babe. I was making breakfast for us. I will do them right after we eat. Her jaw clenched. So you are just going to leave them there? I am always cleaning up after you. I felt my confusion turning to frustration. What? I do dishes all the time. Literally all the time. I was going to handle them in like 20 minutes. She crossed her arms. That is what you always say. You know what I am tired of carrying this relationship. The accusation hung in the air like smoke. I tried to stay calm, tried to explain that I genuinely was not neglecting housework, that I split chores pretty evenly. But she was not listening. She started listing everything I had apparently done wrong over the past 3 years. How I never surprised her with flowers anymore. How I did not support her dreams enough. How I made her feel small. My voice raised slightly, not yelling, but definitely louder, born from pure frustration. Madison, that is not fair, and you know it. Her eyes went wide, triumphant almost. Do not you dare raise your voice at me. This is exactly what I am talking about. Toxic behavior. Aggression. I stood there in our kitchen breakfast, getting cold on the table, feeling like I had just stepped into an alternate reality. She turned on her heel and marched upstairs. The bedroom door slammed so hard a picture frame rattled on the wall. I stood alone, staring at the eggs congealing on the plates. My hands were shaking. I did not know if I was angry or hurt or just exhausted. Probably all three. An hour passed. I cleaned up breakfast, did the dishes from last night, and that morning wiped down the counters. My phone sat on the coffee table and I tried to ignore it. But then it started vibrating. Once, twice, 5 times, 10 times. I picked it up and opened Facebook. Madison had posted a quote in a graphic with a sunset background. Sometimes you have to walk away from toxic men who drain your energy and gaslight you into thinking you are the problem. Know your worth, queens. There was a crown emoji and sparkles. The post was 20 minutes old and already had 23 likes. Comments were rolling in from her friends, most of whom I had never met. You go, girl. You deserve better, sis. Leave him. I read it 3 times, feeling my heart rate climb. She had taken our private argument, twisted it into some narrative where I was an abuser, and broadcast it to hundreds of people. People who did not know me. People who would now think I was some monster. The Portland sky was its usual gray as I walked around the neighborhood, hands shoved in my pockets. I needed air. I needed space to think. The streets were quiet, just a few cars passing, someone mowing their lawn 3 houses down. I walked for maybe 20 minutes, no destination in mind, just moving. When I circled back to our apartment, I noticed an unfamiliar black SUV parked in front. My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone and turned it back on. 56 notifications. Texts from my brother Jake, from our mutual friend Emily, from coworkers, from people I had not talked to in years, and another Facebook notification. Madison had posted again 15 minutes ago. I opened the app with a sense of dread. The photo loaded slowly. 2 large black suitcases sitting on our driveway, a gray backpack beside them, a cardboard box stuffed with clothes and shoes. The caption read, "When a toxic man agrees he is toxic, you take the hint, start walking." She had tagged me. A walking emoji and a nail polish emoji punctuated the message. Hashtags, know your worth by, toxicity, fresh start. I stared at the photo. Those were not my suitcases. Those were hers. The backpack was hers. The box was full of her winter coats. Madison was not kicking me out. She was leaving. And she had staged it like some kind of empowerment photo shoot. I walked up to the front door and let myself in. Voices came from the living room. Madison was there packing more items into another box. And standing next to her helping was a man I had never seen before. He was maybe 32 with full-sleeve tattoos on both arms, wearing a leather jacket despite the mild weather. He had that carefully cultivated, bad boy look, complete with a beard trimmed to precise lines. Madison looked up when I entered. For a split second, something like guilt flashed across her face. Then she composed herself, lifting her chin. "Angelo," she said like she was addressing a stranger. "What is going on?" I asked, keeping my voice level. She gestured dramatically at the boxes. "I am doing what I should have done months ago. I am leaving this toxic relationship." I looked at the suitcases, then at her, then at the tattooed stranger. "Wait, those are your suitcases." She blinked. "Obviously. You agreed you are toxic, so I am walking away. Tyler is helping me move out." Tyler. So he had a name. I looked at him directly. "And who exactly is Tyler?" Tyler smirked the kind of smile that said he was enjoying this. "I am a friend from Madison's empowerment group, someone who actually listens to her and supports her man." Madison nodded, emboldened by his presence. "Tyler understands what I have been going through. He has been there for me when you were not." The pieces clicked together so fast I almost laughed. The constant phone use, the secretive texting, the girls' nights that became more frequent, the way she dressed up for those empowerment meetings, like she was going on a date. And now Tyler appearing out of nowhere, ready and willing to help her move out within hours of our fight. This had been planned. Maybe not the exact timing, but the exit strategy was already in place. I had just given her the excuse she needed by agreeing. I was toxic. "No hard feelings, man," Tyler said, picking up one of the suitcases like he owned the place. I felt anger flash through me, hot and sharp, but I kept it locked down. Losing my temper would only prove Madison's narrative right. Instead, I sat down on the couch and opened my laptop. Madison and Tyler exchanged glances. "What are you doing?" Madison asked, and I heard nervousness creep into her voice. "Just taking care of some paperwork," I said calmly. "You are leaving anyway, so I need to make sure everything is in order. Lease agreements, shared accounts, that kind of thing." Her eyes widened slightly. "You cannot just what?" I looked up at her. "Document our shared finances. Make sure the apartment lease is handled properly." "I am just being responsible, Madison." I pulled up our shared bank account. Something had been nagging at me since yesterday, a notification I had ignored in the chaos of our argument. There it was. A withdrawal of $5,000 transferred from our shared savings to Madison's personal account. Yesterday afternoon. $5,000. Money we had been saving for a down payment on a house. Money I had contributed 70% of because I made more at my engineering job. Money that was supposed to represent our future. Gone. I took screenshots, lots of them. I saved them to 3 different places. Then I started documenting everything else. Screenshots of her Facebook posts with timestamps, screenshots of comments. I opened our text message history and scrolled back through months of conversations, saving anything that might be relevant. Tyler carried boxes out to the SUV, while Madison hovered near me, clearly rattled by my calm demeanor. "Angelo, we can talk about the money," she started. "Sure," I said without looking up. "We can talk about it, with a mediator present or in small claims court, whichever you prefer." The apartment fell silent, except for the clicking of my keyboard. Tyler made 3 more trips. Madison packed her toiletries from the bathroom. I could hear her opening drawers, zipping bags. Finally, she stood at the door with the last box in her arms. Tyler was already outside loading the SUV. She looked at me, and for a moment, I saw uncertainty cross her face. Like she expected me to beg, to fight, to give her the drama she could screenshot and share. I gave her nothing. "I hope you find what you are looking for, Madison," I said quietly. "And Tyler, good luck. You are going to need it." Madison's face flushed red. She opened her mouth, closed it, then turned and walked out. The door clicked shut behind her. I listened to the SUV start and pull away. The apartment felt huge and empty, silent in a way it had not been in years. I sat there for a long time, staring at the wall, processing everything. My phone buzzed with more notifications. Facebook was exploding. But something strange was happening. The narrative was shifting. Emily, who had known both of us since college, had commented on Madison's suitcase post. Wait. Madison did not Angelo just agree with you? Is not he letting you go peacefully? Who is the toxic one here? My brother Jake had posted, so let me get this straight. My brother agrees with you, does not fight, does not argue, and you are the one leaving with some random dude who appeared out of nowhere. Interesting. Other people were starting to ask questions. How long have you known Tyler? Is this the same guy from your photos last week? Did you take money before leaving? Madison was deleting comments, but people had already screenshot them. The empowerment narrative was cracking. The first night alone was strange. I ordered pizza, ate it straight from the box while sitting on the floor, and watched a movie I had wanted to see for months, but Madison always vetoed. Around 11 p.m., my phone rang. Jake. You good? He asked. Yeah, I said and meant it. I am actually okay. Good. Because I am about to go scorched earth on Facebook if you want me to. I smiled despite everything. Not yet. Let me handle this my way. Over the next 2 days, I worked methodically. I contacted our property management company. The apartment lease was in my name only. Madison was listed as an occupant, not a co-signer. I informed them she had moved out voluntarily and provided written documentation. They updated their records. I contacted our bank about the withdrawal. The advisor looked at the account. History saw the pattern of my deposits versus hers and suggested filing a report. I did. Not to be vindictive, but because $5,000 was not pocket change and taking it without discussion was theft, plain and simple. I gathered every piece of evidence I could find. Timeline of our relationship. Documentation of who paid for what. Screenshots of every passive-aggressive post Madison had made over the last 6 months. Evidence of Tyler's involvement, including photos she had tagged him in weeks before our fight. I did not post any of it. Not yet. I just compiled everything into a folder on my laptop, organized and dated. Meanwhile, Madison kept posting. Day 3, after she left, starting my healing journey away from narcissistic abuse. So grateful for my support system. The photos showed her and Tyler at a trendy coffee shop downtown, both holding oat milk lattes with foam art. The comments were more skeptical now. People were asking direct questions she could not delete fast enough. How long have you been talking to Tyler? Did you cheat? Why did you take money without telling Angelo? She ignored all of them, just kept posting inspirational quotes about rising above and choosing yourself. Then Emily made a move I did not expect. She posted her own status, long and detailed. She talked about knowing both Madison and me for 7 years, about how I had always been kind, supportive, loyal, about how Madison had changed dramatically in recent months. And then Emily dropped the bomb. She had been at an empowerment group meeting a month ago, and she saw Madison flirting with Tyler in the parking lot afterward. Saw them exchange numbers, saw the way they looked at each other. Emily's post got shared 40 times in the first hour. Mutual friends started commenting, agreeing, sharing their own observations. The facade was collapsing. Jake decided he had waited long enough. He posted screenshots of text conversations between us from the day Madison left. Messages where I sounded confused and hurt, asking him if I really was toxic or if I was losing my mind. Messages that showed I was not some abuser, but just a regular guy who had been manipulated and gaslit for months. Jake also posted about the $5,000 withdrawal, with receipts showing bank statements that proved most of that money came from me. He called it what it was theft. The post went viral in our social circle. People were outraged on my behalf. Madison tried to fight back, posting that everyone was attacking a woman for leaving an abusive situation. But nobody was buying it anymore. Then someone unexpected reached out. A woman named Sarah sent me a private message on Facebook. "I need to tell you something about Tyler," she wrote. "I am in the empowerment group with Madison. Or I was. I left after what I saw." Sarah explained that Tyler was not actually a member of the group. He was an ex-boyfriend of another member, and he had a reputation. He targeted vulnerable women in support groups, women who were having relationship problems. He would position himself as the supportive friend, offer a shoulder to cry on, and slowly work his way into their lives. Madison was not his first conquest. She was not even his third. Sarah had tried to warn Madison, but Madison did not want to hear it. I thanked Sarah and asked if she would be willing to share this information with others in the group. She said yes. Within 24 hours, Madison's support system had evaporated. Women from the empowerment group started distancing themselves from her publicly. Some even apologized to me directly for initially supporting her without knowing the full story. By day 7, I knew it was time. I had stayed silent on social media except for that one comment on Madison's original post. People were begging me to tell my side, but I wanted to do it right. One post, one time, then moving on. I chose a photo carefully, me standing in the apartment which I had rearranged and cleaned. Plants on the windowsill, books organized on the shelf, peaceful. I wrote the caption in one sitting, edited it twice, and posted it. A week ago, my ex-girlfriend posted that I was toxic. I agreed with her post because I believe everyone has the right to leave a relationship if they are unhappy. What I did not expect was that walking away meant she would pack her bags, withdraw $5,000 from our savings, 70% of which I contributed, and leave with a man she had been talking to for months. I have been called toxic for asking her to communicate instead of posting vague statuses, for wanting to save money for our future, and for not always agreeing with every social media trend she adopted. To everyone who supported her, without knowing the full story, I understand. Social media only shows what people want you to see. To Madison, I genuinely hope you find what you are looking for. I also hope you return the money you took, but I will not hold my breath. Consider it the price of my freedom. To anyone in a relationship where you are constantly walking on eggshells, being called names, or made to feel like everything you do is wrong, that is the real toxicity. It is okay to walk away. I am not posting this for sympathy or revenge. I am posting this for closure and to set the record straight. Comments are off. I am moving forward. I turned off comments just like I said I would. The post went viral anyway. It got shared to relationship forums, to Reddit, to Twitter. Screenshots circulated everywhere. Media outlets picked it up as an example of social media manipulation and performative activism. Thousands of people, men and women, both commented on other platforms about their own experiences with being labeled toxic unfairly. My inbox filled with messages of support. Madison tried to respond with another post claiming I was lying and manipulating the narrative. But by that point, she had no credibility left. Tyler had already ghosted her, according to Sarah. He had moved on to his next target. Madison was alone. The consequences came fast. Her employer, a small startup that prided itself on social justice values, let her go after an internal investigation. Apparently, several coworkers had come forward with concerns about her behavior. Mutual friends stopped inviting her to gatherings. The empowerment group officially asked her to leave. She had nowhere to go but back to her parents in Seattle. I filed in small claims court for the $5,000. With bank record screenshots and a clear paper trail showing my contributions, the case was straightforward. The judge ordered Madison to pay me back in monthly installments, plus court fees. I did not care about revenge. I cared about justice. 2 weeks after Madison left, I was sitting in the apartment on a quiet Tuesday evening when Emily texted, "Proud of you for handling this with class. Want to grab coffee this weekend?" I smiled and said yes. Jake called an hour later. "You good bro." Yeah, I told him, and this time I felt it deep in my bones. I am actually better than I have been in months. I looked around the apartment, my space now, arranged the way I wanted it, quiet, but not lonely, peaceful in a way it had not been in over a year. My phone buzzed with another notification, but I ignored it. I had said what I needed to say. The rest was just noise. The first few weeks after Madison left were admittedly difficult. I would wake up and for just a second forget she was gone. I would start to make 2 cups of coffee before remembering. The apartment felt too big, too quiet. Old habits die hard, I guess. At night, lying in bed, I would replay memories. Not the bad ones, but the good ones from those first 2 years. Hiking trips where we got lost and laughed about it. The time we tried to make sushi and ended up with rice everywhere. Her sticky notes. I let myself feel sad about what we could have been if things had gone differently. But grief passes if you let it. Slowly, the apartment started feeling less like a tomb and more like a fresh start. I reconnected with friends I had neglected during the relationship. Jake and I started doing weekend hiking trips again, just like old times. We would drive out early Saturday mornings, hit the trails and talk about everything and nothing. It felt good to be around someone who did not require me to analyze every word I said. I joined a men's support group, which felt ironic given everything. But this one was different. Real. No performative posts, no vague statements about toxic anything. Just guys talking honestly about relationships, mental health, work stress. I learned I was not alone in feeling gaslit by a partner. I learned that walking away does not make you weak. A few months in, I adopted a dog from the local rescue, a golden retriever mix named Copper, about 3 years old with one floppy ear and eyes that looked like he understood heartbreak. He became my companion, my reason to get up and go outside every day. No drama, no accusations, just loyalty and wet nose nudges when I looked too serious. Work became a positive focus again. I had been so stressed during the final months with Madison that my performance had slipped. Now, with a clear head, I threw myself back into projects. 6 months after Madison left, I got promoted to senior engineer. Better pay, better hours, more interesting work. I started learning woodworking in my free time, something I had always wanted to try, but Madison thought was pointless. I built a coffee table for the living room, a bookshelf, a dog bed for Copper. There was something satisfying about creating real things with my hands, seeing tangible results from effort. No ambiguity, no mind games, just wood tools and patience. I learned what real peace feels like. It is not fireworks or constant excitement. It is quiet mornings with coffee and a book. It is coming home to a wagging tail. It is not having to justify why you are tired or defend your perfectly reasonable decisions. I learned that love should not require constant proof. Real love does not demand you perform it on social media. It does not keep score. It does not call you toxic for being human. I learned that communication will always beat performative activism. That trust is more valuable than being right. That if your gut tells you something is off, you should listen. I learned about social media too, how people craft narratives that have nothing to do with reality. How you can make yourself the hero of any story if you control the editing. How dangerous it is to judge situations based on someone's curated online persona. I learned that sometimes staying silent is more powerful than engaging, that people reveal themselves given enough time and rope. But most importantly, I learned about myself. That I had tolerated behavior I should not have tolerated because I was afraid of being alone. That I confused love with obligation. That walking away does not make me a failure. It makes me someone who respects himself enough to demand better. I learned I do not need to hold on to anger or resentment. Madison was a lesson, not a life sentence. Some people come into your life to teach you what you do not want. That is valuable too. I learned my peace of mind is worth more than any relationship, any shared history, any fear of starting over. 6 months after everything imploded, I was in my small garage workspace, finishing a bookshelf I had been building for 2 weeks. Copper was asleep on his dog bed in the corner paws, twitching in some dream. My phone buzzed on the workbench. Emily texting about plans for a camping trip the following weekend with a group of friends. I smiled, wiped sawdust off my hands, and replied that I was in. The evening light filtered through the garage door, golden and warm. I stood there for a moment, just breathing, feeling genuinely content for the first time in what felt like years. Looking back, I am grateful Madison posted those suitcases on Facebook, not because I wanted the relationship to end, but because it showed me who I was dealing with before I wasted more years of my life. Sometimes the trash really does take itself out. And sometimes the person who walks away is not the one carrying the baggage. They are the one finally free from it. If you are in a relationship where you are constantly being called toxic for basic human mistakes, maybe it is time to ask yourself, who is really draining whom? True growth is not about performing it online for likes and validation. It is about living it quietly with integrity when nobody is watching. It is about becoming the kind of person you respect when you look in the mirror. That is the kind of growth that lasts. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like you could not do anything right, where your partner made you question your own reality? Drop a comment below and share your story. And if this resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss future stories. Share this with someone who might need to hear it. Sometimes we all need a reminder that choosing peace over chaos is not giving up. It is leveling up. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there realize they deserve better. Stay strong, stay honest, and remember that your worth is not determined by someone else's inability to see it. Take care of yourselves out there.